Okay, so the Middle English I'm going to be teaching you is going to work for Geoffrey, Chaucer, also for William Langland, for the Gawain-poet, the guy behind Sir Gawain in the Green Knight. Works for all of them. But I'm going to focus on Chaucer because he's the most famous, most quotable, yeah, so suitable kind of place to focus our efforts. And I'm going to look at the beginning of the Canterbury Tales, this phenomenal 18-line sentence with which Chaucer kind of sets the scene for this pilgrimage to Canterbury, with its complex vocabulary, really complex grammar. It's an amazing kind of sentence that you need this poetic virtuosity to control. Loads of sound play, a really kind of rich and lively bit of Middle English. You could do with having it open in front of you. It'd be quite useful. If you can't access it, then don't worry. But easy to get it on the internet, or you might even have a book if you're old school. So get the passage open in front of you. Could be good. And it would be useful if you familiarise yourself with it before you go through these videos. If you don't, it's not the end of the world. It's not a big problem. But it might be good to read it properly, look stuff up, check that you actually understand what's going on in that tricky passage. It's a great passage to learn. You can kind of impress, when you're an old man or woman, you can impress young people at weddings and parties by kind of reciting it to them off the top of your head. It'll be great. So that's what we're going to focus on here. Almost all my examples come from that. Yeah, okay, let's just get into those two big fundamentals that I want to get across to you. Well, one big fundamental, you say all the letters, and we're going to think about that in relation to E at the end of words, which you learnt very carefully to write but not pronounce when you were at school. E at the end of words and consonants. So let's start with E at the end of words. Let's look at that word ender, right? Dead familiar word, end, but it's got an E on the end. Well, you say the E, ender. You might have kind of encountered people saying ye oldie shoppy or something. He's not saying endy. He's just saying ender, or maybe ender. If you want to say ender, that's totally cool, if that helps you to kind of keep up with what's going on. But ender, end. Younger, young. Younger. Veiner, a vein, like, that your blood runs through. Veiner. Not vein, veiner. Okay? Easy. Word that means root. This vowel's pronounced differently. We'll come on to the detail of that in a minute, but not rort, but rorter, rorter, at the end. Okay, so just get that principle into your head. It can be weirdly difficult for English speakers to do that. You're so used to ignoring the E at the end of a word, but if he writes it, he means it. So, rorter. Natura, not nature, but natura. The stress is in a different place here too. There's going to be some of that. We'll come on to it in a bit, but natura, 3 syllables. And here's this word that looks like it says bathed, right? Bathed, which in modern English is 1 syllable. Bathed, 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 1 syllable. But for Chaucer, it's 2, right? He writes an E, you say an E. Bathed, bathed. We'll come on to that A in a bit, but bathed, bathed. So that's really, really important for the metre of Chaucer. If you kind of take out loads of syllables, then you can still enjoy the poetry, it's still fun. But you're kind of missing something that's fundamental to the language that he was speaking. Actually, these final E's, people were stopping saying them about 1400 in southern England and earlier in the north. So about the time that Chaucer was dying, people are just giving up on all of these final E's. So it's kind of weird. He's actually kind of the last generation who's saying them, and then all the poets who come subsequently, who are massively influenced by Chaucer, actually don't really know how it's supposed to sound. And like, why are there all these E's in our language? Why do we write them? We've been wondering ever since. But it's because they used to pronounce them in the 14th century. Great. So you might want to stare at that for a bit and maybe pause the video and just think about kind of practicing that pronunciation. Ender, younger, natura. You might look a bit weird, but it's going to be worth it. Consonants. So that's that, right? Just say the final E and you're there. Brilliant. Consonants. You also say all the consonants. So let's take a pretty straightforward, familiar word. It means when, but rather than saying w, there's an H, right? So you say Juan, Juan. If you're from Scotland, you might well do it. If you're very posh, some North American dialects have it as well. Juan. So not Juan, but Juan. When. Easy. This word that means drought, okay? It's got an E on the end, so we're going to say at the end of it. drochter, drochter. So you've got this GH thing. You've learned not to kind of pronounce it when you write English, but it's being pronounced in Middle English, and it's a sound, which is like a G, but rather than stopping it and going g, you keep it going. Okay, drochter. There will have been lots of variants on that theme, like as well as but don't worry too much. As long as you've got something there to say, I'm a consonant, that would be great. Drochter. Anything that begins with a kn, kn, well, you say the K, yeah? So knitting, knights, knives, knitting, knights, knives. If it was indeed the word knight, let's write it on there. Wow, tools of literacy. Knicht, yeah, knicht. So you say that too, knicht. Yeah, fantastic. Some words will look kind of familiar, like this word that means half. Say the E on the end, of course. But we're also going to pronounce that L. Chaucer's written an L, so we're going to say it not half, but halva, halva, halva. Cool. Let's do these ones now. These ones down the bottom, second to last. If Chaucer writes the same consonant twice, he still means it twice. So two P's, you're going to say P twice. So not, and obviously we're going to say S at the end here. So this word means crops, but we're not going to say cropes, cropes. We're going to say both P's. Cropes, cropes. Okay, crops, cropes. Here's a word that means then. Thanna, thanna, not thanna, but thanna. We do this in modern English in words like penknife, where one word ends in an N and the next word begins in an N. Penknife, not penknife, penknife. Good dog, not good dog, but good dog. But they do it within words in Middle English. So cropes, thanna. Shouldn't be hard to get your lips around it, your teeth around it. You just got to kind of get used to it, and that's important for the rhythm of the poetry. So cropes, thanna. Say all the consonants. Lastly, if you're an American, you're going to be fine with this. If you're Scottish, you're all right. If you're from the southwest, you've got a nice southwestern, like Devon accent or something, no problem. If you're Welsh, you're all right too, probably. But if you're from the southeast of England, like me, or from most of England, really, you're going to have some R trouble. So in modern English, well, even the letter R, right? I mean, if I say R, that's just a vowel. R. There's no R. There's no R in my R. We've lost our R's in a lot of places in my variety of English. Chaucer's got them. That's why he writes them. So if you see an R, you've got to say something. A lot of English speakers find this hard, and it took me quite a long time till I got used to it. I kind of learnt it through other languages that have R's, and then I was able to bring them to Middle English. You might be able to do a rolled R, rrr, that's fine. You might have an American R or an R like in the southwest of England, more of a rrr. Chaucer's probably got the R. I've got the rolled R. It's just the one that's kind of least hard for me. So use whatever R comes to hand. If you learn French or German, you can use theirs. But you've got to have a consonant there, otherwise Chaucer's going to be like, dude, what's this crazy word you're saying? So march, I'd say march, but march. Not pierced or pursed, but persed. Or if you've got the southwestern type form, persed, march, persed. Virtue in my English, okay, no R yet, vertu, or vertu, anything like that, anything with an R in it. So, you say all the consonants, that's the deal, straightforward enough. Might take a bit of getting your lips around if you don't have them natively in your English. Again, good reason to put on a foreign accent, American accent, Scottish accent, whatever will help you. Brilliant, that's the fundamentals of pronouncing Chaucer. If you just do that, that'll make a huge difference. You can use whatever vowel sounds you like. But we're going to go into some more detail on vowel sounds now, and hopefully you'll enjoy it and find it worthwhile.